Good evening, folks. Welcome back to another Monday night live stream. Hope everybody is well. Hope you all had a fantastic weekend. We've got plenty of people in the chat already got up and ready to start rambling on tonight. So tonight, no specific topic tonight for a few reasons. One is, I've literally not had like kind of five minutes to really kind of like to put any prep time in for a specific topic tonight, because as I've said on the last couple of streams, I've been working on my garage, getting it ready for to turn into my kind of like gaming studio type thing, and I've got carpet fitters coming on Thursday, and I have to get it finished to a point where I can let them come in on Thursday morning and fit the carpet and stuff. So pretty much all of my working time and my own free time has been kind of spent cracking on and getting that done. So yeah, so that kind of limited my time a little bit today. The other side is I went for my COVID vaccine today as well, so that kind of swallowed up some of my time. And I'll be honest, I feel like I'm starting to get a bit of sort of like side effects from it. I am aching all over. So yeah, so tonight's stream is just going to be a bit of a ramble. It's just general gaming stuff. We'll chat about all sorts of other bits and pieces as well, no doubt. But we're just going to have a chat and see how it goes, and kind of make your Monday night that little bit more interesting, maybe. Let's see anyway. I'm just checking there. Busey saying, Cursed City topic. I do not want to touch Cursed City with a barge pole. And I'll tell you why I don't want to later on. It's nothing to do with what I think of the game. It's just the fact that I am absolutely sick of hearing negativity about it. So yeah, and I'm not about negativity. Every channel is making the same videos, guessing at what the thing's going on. Nobody's got any information. It's like, oh, so-and-so's got an email that says this, and oh, but Warhammer community said that, and I'm just sick to death of hearing about it. So yes, let's go back and have a look at the chat and see who we had. Connor, nice and early, and hello to you, Connor. Hello to Peter Kuman as well, and nice and early. Lord Maiden, nice to see you, sir. How you doing, mate? Phil Campbell, good evening to you. Hello, Steve Evans. How's things, mate? Chuck and Deb Taylor, I'll spit that again. Chuck and Deb Taylor, happy lunch break from Oregon. Nice to see you. Enjoy your lunch. Ortega, hello in the rerun, mate. Thank you very much for always popping in and dropping a message. It's always nice to hear from you. Blizzards, hello to you, fella. ASDF, good evening. Spanky Taz says, why are you buggers? Good evening to Ian as well. Hello, Palmsy. Hello, mate. How you doing? James Zorm, good evening to you. Marcus, the Super Pumpkin Man. Hello, mate. Busey says, evening ramblers. Yeah, tonight is a ramblers one. Christian, good evening to you, mate, and congrats on the job as well. Rathammer, good evening to you. Al Cluley, hope you're well too, fella. Scott Latham's in as well. Coxie, nice to see you as well. Dead Hands says, how's everyone doing this fine evening? Frederick Schultz is currently green stuffing some Middle Earth SBG conversions. Interesting. Which ones are you doing, mate? Karos Dogforge is in. Hello to you. Tony Howell. Hello, sir. Yoakum, good evening, mate. He's building these Cursed City minis tonight. Nice one. Spider Lord said, evening all. He's just doing some writing before I move on to painting some Necrons. That's a nice bit of painting for you, mate. Ruas, good evening to you as well. Formic Miniatures, good evening from Cursed City. Scott Longworth says, evening all, just painting up a Song of Ice and Fire. Nice one, lad. Luke, good evening to you, mate. How are you doing? Stu's in as well. Says, so random chat tonight, that's business as usual. It's normally more of a business as usual on a Wednesday. Wednesdays are a bit more random while I'm sitting painting rather than having a topic. But the Monday ones, I tend to craft a little bit more. But like I said at the start, it's one of the reasons why the content's been a bit light of late, is because I'm literally ploughing pretty much all day and all night into getting this room ready for when people can start to visit again. So yeah, so I've kind of like, I'm cracking on. I'm at the point now where the room itself as a structure is now finished. I've run all the cables in. So, and when I say cables, I've got HDMI cables kind of all like sort of like sort of hidden away behind panels and stuff like that, so I can just kind of plug cameras in different locations and things, and new sockets in, so I can put like sort of have lights in and power cameras from there. So it's been a lot of work of like stripping things right back, thinking about where things need to be for like the end result, and putting all the cables and stuff in, and then getting the walls panelled, so then we can kind of like start decorating. So tomorrow's job is basically to get paint on the walls, and that's what I need. That's the last job really that I need to do, is get it all painted before the carpet fitters come on Thursday morning. And then after that, there's a bit more work to do, which is things like deciding where lights go, and sort of finished positions for cameras and all that type of stuff. So yeah, it's all exciting stuff. It's all my savings are dwindling, but yeah, it's all exciting stuff. Mark Berraclough, good evening to you, mate. If I can find it, where was it? I'm not going to say it off the top of the screen. He's just finishing up. He'll be back in 20 minutes. John Ashley Smith, good evening to you, mate. Luke says I was hoping you would say no to talk about Curse City. I like, if people have got it, like, then people have got it, and then I want everybody to enjoy their purchase and kind of enjoy it and paint it, and I'm happy to kind of, like, if people want to share sort of, you know, what they're working on, if they're painting stuff up, if they're enjoying it, all that kind of stuff. I'm all about the positivity stuff. But I just feel online at the minute, it is just draining the life out of me, just hearing daily, almost hourly updates about, like, oh, like, they've done this, they've done that, and it's like, my honest thought is there's way more going on in the background than they, and we know Games Workshop don't share this stuff. They don't communicate the kind of, like, the business workings and stuff like that. But there's way more going on in the background than we'll ever find out about. It's not just a case of, like, we made this many and we disappeared kind of thing. Peter Nicholas, hello, mate. He says, yo, water for me, man. Yeah, like I say, mate, I had my first COVID vaccine today. And it was absolutely fine. Came back, was being working in the garage again. Got to a point where kind of swept everything out and things. And then it was like I sat down to have a cup of, and it was like, oh god, I'm starting to get I'm getting a bit fevery now. I'm getting a bit hot, and I'm getting a bit. I'm like aching a bit. I don't know whether it's the after effects of, like, a few days hard work, or whether it's the kind of the side effects off the COVID shot. But either way, we'll know in the morning. That's for sure. Good morning to you, VG. How are you doing? Mountain Gremlin Games, hello to you as well. Spanky Taz says he's just finished drafting up his 5 Parsecs crew and rules for shared campaign. Now he's going through his minis looking for suitable figures. Fantastic, mate. Frantic, good evening to you, mate. Lord Baden says he's doing all right. How are you feeling? I think I've just said kind of how I'm feeling. What was that one? Al Cluley, hello, mate. Let me just let's see what that's. I can't read that far. My eyesight's not. Get yourselves some light bulbs, dude. Look forward to seeing the new studio. Yeah, it's like, I kind of, like I said this before, I've basically just been saving up all the money I've kind of been making over the last 12 months, all my Patreon money and kind of ad revenue and all that kind of stuff. I've not been spending. I've just been saving it up to the point where I could reinvest it back into the channel, and now's the right time to do it. Now things are starting to look like they're moving back to a situation where we can start to play games in person again. So yeah, it's took me a long time to build up that money, but it's coming down fast at the moment. Spylord says some nice model reveals to discuss instead. I've not really seen them, if I'm honest, mate. I'm a little bit out of touch this last week. VJ says, yeah, all the rampant Curse City speculation, all the YouTube channels are getting a bit old. The frustrating thing is, it's that negativity and that kind of that GW hype train type stuff. It drives views, and everybody's riding on the wave of it, and everybody's getting loads of views out of it. But I've got no intention of watching any of it, and because the thing is, like, I know, and I'm sure you know as well, that nobody knows the truth. Somebody at Games Workshop knows the truth. Everybody else is guessing and speculating and putting 2 and 2 together and coming up with 15. And unfortunately, that's like, it's fine if you want to just hear what people's thoughts are, but it's not. There's no facts behind it. People are just guessing at it, and that to me is just, it's draining at the minute, and it feels like that's all I see. My feed is full of that. On YouTube, it's all over Facebook and all the hobby groups. I'm just a bit tired of it, if I'm honest. Skullmunch, hello to you, fella. He's saying, hey Andy, good to hear about Curse City. The negativity around it's getting so boring, it's everywhere. Yeah, do you know what it is? I mean, I was hyped for the game. I was really looking forward to it. It finally arrived, and it feels like, I mean, regardless of what I consider from the gameplay experience I had, that's kind of that aside, I think basically, like the people that are complaining about this stuff at the minute either already have the game, so like just go and enjoy what you've bought. Like, don't worry about it. Or they haven't got the game, which is a whole other story because I made a video about that already. And they were waiting for maybe like a reprint or something like that. And I think the problem is like there's just so much kind of guesswork going on. Nobody really knows. Like, if you ask me, do I think it's going to come back? Yes, but I think there's a hell of a lot of problems with COVID and Brexit and everything else that's going on at the minute. Supply shortages. There's way more going on than we'll ever find out. Colin Scott says he's finishing his Traitor Guard from Blackstone, finishing them before I tackle the other game. Busey says, despite the negativity, I'm hoping I still receive it rather than a refund. Yeah, I hope you do as well, mate. I hope everybody that wants a copy gets a copy eventually. I don't want to see anybody miss out on stuff that they're excited about. But like, I don't know what it is at the minute. I don't know if it's just this, like, is it just people's kind of just latching onto that kind of lockdown frustration and anger, wanting something to get angry about? I'm not sure. Stu saying good morning to VJ there. Hello Claudio, how are you doing, mate? James Bray, good evening to you. ASDF's gap filling a bust. That could mean so many things, but I'm assuming it's hobby work, mate. Fat Cat, good evening. Says, can't stick around, see you in the rerun. See you, hello in the rerun as well. Ariel says, good evening, late afternoon here in Florida. Very nice. I wish I was in Florida, mate, that's for sure. Phil Cunningham says, hi, he's working on his Daughters of Cain Blood Bowl team. Very nice, mate. Marcus is sculpting some green stuff onto his custom Vargolf, making it look like fur. Nice. Hello, Gareth Lewis. Warwick saying, evening, afternoon here. I just ordered the new Vanguard rulebook myself last week. Hopefully have it in another 2 or 3 weeks with shipping times. I must admit, I've not seen the new Vanguard rulebook. I should probably pick it up at some point and see what the changes are and things like that as well, because Vanguard is a really good game. Lord Maiden says, excuse me, do you have any tips for painting models without full examples? I'm having issues with this project as I cannot see what the different colours would be in places. Excuse me. I'm not quite sure if I know what you mean, mate. Do you mean just coming up with your own colour scheme without actually seeing one in the flesh originally? Because I kind of struggled a little bit with that when I was painting up the Mythos ones, because there wasn't really any kind of like the box just shows like rendered pictures. Online there was hardly anything painted up. You just kind of have to if you can get a colour scheme like that you want to kind of go with, just go with it. Don't worry too much about what stuff is. Paint what looks right. If you think it looks right, it'll look right. So try not to overthink it. I think just get some base colours down. If you don't like it, you can always paint over them. It's not going to kind of harm it, if anything. Vijay says, no run this morning. His calf muscles are killing him. Taking a few days off. Just keeping a tight rein on the diet. Nice one, mate. Proud of you. Right, where did that one go? I will catch up with you. There we go. Luke says, missed what you said at the start. What's this room going to be for? So, mate, essentially that's it is just for recording gameplay. So what it means is I can have this room for streaming, for painting. I can have some storage in here to put some bits and pieces in. I used to have a big 6x4 table in here, but because the room's not very big, it was difficult to get the cameras far enough away to get everything into the into shot where I wanted to do it. And also the problem being is because the room wasn't very big, it's getting really cramped in here with all of the bits and pieces and stuff like that. So what I decided to do was I've kind of put some false walls up in my. I've got a double garage and I've basically blocked some of it off now. So I've got a nice big area that is just for the big 6x4 table. It'll be set up so that basically I can just go in there, play the game, record it, potentially stream stuff from there, because I'm in two minds about putting a PC in there as well so I can stream from there too, or whether I just want to record to the cameras and edit later. And then I'll have some storage in there with like my armies and my terrain and stuff in there as well. But what it means is I've got a dedicated area when people come to play games, I've got a dedicated area, because this is just, like, I've got desks in the corner with my airbrush on and a monitor for when I'm doing my painting streams. I've got all my paints over there. I've got a TV on the wall there so I can see what's happening with the live streams, make sure everything's working. The camera has to be a certain distance away from me and me from the wall to make it all look right. It's a bit of a nightmare trying to do everything in one room when I don't have a lot of space. So that's what all the work's for, mate. Where are we up to? Scott Latham says, I positively got rid of my Curse City for the AdMech. Oh, did you manage to do a bit of a swap, mate? Did you? Well done. John said he awoke with a stiff back. He's getting older as well. Spunky Taz says he's building the sex dungeon. Warwick says, I think people are so upset with GW right now because of the Warhammer community site. Do you know, it's one of those, there's more to it, mate. I'm not going to go into it too much, but there's more to it. And all that happens is information is changing. I don't think they've actively lied. I think they've communicated really badly when they've taken the site down, the Curse City site. They're obviously taking it down because they can't supply it at the minute, and they've got no idea when they're going to be able to. I just think it's being communicated badly, but I don't like people getting upset about it is one thing, but like just constant anger and ranting and kind of complaining about it, like, it's a game. Let's not kind of, we're not making hearts here, kind of thing. Peter says, I'm busy fighting severe hay fever and the tax man who thinks I owe money despite I don't pay tax. Yeah, the tax man fight, mate, I fully understand. My wife is starting to kind of, I can see she's coming down with a bit of hay fever at the minute. It's just getting that time of the year, isn't it? John says he's sorry he's late. Either arrive on time or pick up cider. I regret nothing. I think in your boat, mate, I'd have done the same as well. Bliss says he's got his second shot on Saturday. That's supposed to be the worst of the two. I don't know if it's because I had like COVID 4 weeks ago, if this is just kind of like just giving me a bit of a kick in, or if it's just I'm getting old. It might just be that. Stu says, will the new hobby room build tour be a topic for a video? It will be, made. So it's not I've essentially kind of been holding off until I can show it at a point where it's starting to look more like a room, because essentially it looked like a building site, and that wouldn't have been very interesting for a video. When I get the paint onto it and the carpet goes down on Thursday, I've got a door to hang, then it's probably in a state where it's starting to look more like what I'm envisioning at the end type thing. The table's in there, but it's not like I've got like covers and stuff to put like a nice sort of top on the table and stuff like that. I won't have any of the cameras and stuff up, but it'll be interesting at that point to kind of show you, like I can actually kind of explain the progress rather than actually like just kind of showing you sort of like stud walls and stuff and cables hanging around and like big X's on boards where like sort of this is where HDMI socket for camera one's going to go, that kind of stuff. At least I can kind of show you where it's at. Colin Wakeling, good evening to you, mate. Ari Don says, don't get ill again, mate. Glad to catch it from almost the beginning this time, building some of my cursed city at the moment. No, I don't think I'm going to get ill, mate. I think it's either a combination of, I had a bit of a boozy weekend as well, because we did manage to do some kind of garden visits with some family, and our neighbour, there's one of our neighbours is moving away, so we had some kind of drinks in there in the garden yesterday as well with some of the neighbours. So I think it could be either a combination of a bit of a boozy weekend, working hard, which I'm not used to on all the garage stuff, and then just feeling a bit kind of like under the weather. Or I felt fine this morning. I've had my COVID shot this morning, and it's kind of like tea time, 7-8 o'clock. It was starting to feel a bit kind of run down. So I think it's one of those two things. But yeah, I'm not going to be ill. Scott says, I'm excited for Mythic Battles Ragnarok. I've never played Mythic Battles, mate. I've heard good things about it, but don't know anything about it, to be fair. Ian says, so excited to be getting back to normal gaming. I'm really looking forward to it, mate. John was just saying in our Patreon chat today, he's starting to feel a bit more normal now. He's been managing to get some garden games in. The weather up here in the northeast has been pretty good for the last couple of weeks, which is obviously helping people to get some outdoor games in. But that's kind of why I'm really pushing on now. I mean, I could just not do that work and make more videos at the minute, but But I think long term, to take the channel on to the next level, to where I wanted to get to eventually, and obviously COVID got in the way of that stuff. Getting this sort of setup ready to be able to record gameplay stuff for you all, when I can obviously get people to come and play. So it's getting ahead of that really, and I think once we can start to play games and things, I think we'll start to feel a bit more normal. We'll start to kind of get the social aspect of it back again. People having a bit of a chat backwards and forwards there. Lord Maiden says, how dare you? You know 2 + 2 is 5. Ian says, the drama of GW has really helped me to move almost 100% 3D printed minis in games that are proxy friendly. To be honest, all of my Twitter, all of my Facebook, like all my social media stuff, I only really follow people who chat hobby. So I tend not to get like political drama, or I don't tend to get like kind of any of the general news things that's kind of popping around to kind of drag you down when things are locked down and all that kind of stuff. So generally all of my feed is just kind of nice painted miniatures, and I'm excited for this game, or I've played this one, or I'm looking forward to buying that. But the last couple of weeks, it's just been absolutely swamped with just like all of this like negative Curse City stuff, and it's a real shame actually. John says, you got to play a 120 can game of Gaslands on Saturday. I got massacred, but there was much carnage. That's the whole point, mate. It doesn't matter if you win or not, does it? That's always a thing. Hello, Jill. How are you doing? VG says, GW knows, but they aren't going to be talking about it until it goes through the PR department. I think they're not ready to talk about it because they don't know themselves what the issues are. There's loads of things going on at the minute. I mean, there's a cardboard shortage at the moment, believe it or not. There are obviously all of the different taxes are all changing. A lot of the stuff that GW got made for Curse City all came from the Far East. And obviously all of the Brexit stuff and all of the different bits and pieces, the kind of getting all that stuff sent over here to get kind of assembled and then getting it sent back into Europe and stuff. There's just like things are not smooth sailing at the minute. They're manufacturing that. They hope then their new manufacturing stuff will be up and running, and it's not. I'm sure there's kind of combinations of they'll have made business decisions that say, look, we've got to kind of take a chance here. I think we'll plan that things will be up and running and we'll be at full steam by then or whatever. But I think it's just caught them with their pants down a little bit. I think sales obviously were probably bigger than they expected. I just think there's way more to it. And I think basically what they're doing is they're waiting until they have the full picture to kind of announce something. They never really share. Like even through the COVID stuff, like they pretty much tried to keep up like the full scale releases that they've always been doing. And I just think it's catching up with them now, and I think it's kind of crumbling down. It wouldn't surprise me if we see this issue with a few other releases coming up as well. Stu Hayes. Where was that one again? Let me find it. I just read it and then it jumped up. There we are. There are plenty of copies around. Local game shop had several copies. There is still quite a few around as well. That's the other side of it as well. I think if you really do still want it, I think there's still plenty buzzing about. Tony says, I'm quite happy to hide from that chat and pootle away, do my own. Yeah, that's kind of it. I think it's half the reason why I've been quite enjoying just digging myself away in the garage for days on end, and just like I've hardly been on social media. I've hardly been in our own chat. I've hardly been in my own Facebook group. I've not really posted anything on Twitter. I've literally just been getting up in the morning, showered, get ready, cup of coffee, straight into the garage, pick the little one up from nursery. Once my wife's finished, back in the garage, and that's I'm just pushing on because I'm determined to get this finished. Jill's painting up the Gardens of More kit. I like that kit. It really is nice. Andrew says, can we talk about GW YouTubers, collective Stockholm Syndrome, bipolar disorder? I think it's just... do you know what it is? Let's be completely honest about it. Everybody... And I kind of include myself in this as well, but not fully, and I explain why. But everybody who has a YouTube channel just wants clicks. They just want people to view their stuff. It doesn't matter whether they do it full time like I do. It doesn't matter if it's their hobby. They want that endorphin rush of getting lots and lots of views and growing their subscribers and all that kind of stuff. This channel is kind of set up a little bit differently, that I don't want to just focus on the things that are about getting clicks. It has to be stuff I'm interested in, otherwise I'll find it really boring. And I try to cover the stuff that other channels are not necessarily doing. So for mine, it's less about the number of clicks and the number of views I get. It's more about building up that community, building up the kind of the people that come back to watch my streams, the people that come back to watch my videos, building up that community and providing them with something that they don't necessarily get elsewhere. But for everybody else who just wants to kind of get as many clicks as they want, do you know what it is? GW will do it every time. If you're in the hobby if you're in the hobby YouTube side of things, and you just want to grow clicks, you have to cover GW stuff all the time. And even better, if there's some negativity or there's some kind of drama going on, ride that pony as long as you can and hold on with both hands, because that's what drives it, unfortunately. And then of course, obviously, you've also got to get all excited about the new stuff as well, so you don't lose all the other folks. Peter, just chatting to Tony there. Adam says, good morning, people. I see you yawning, Andy. We're keeping you awake. I had an awful night's sleep last night, mate, and I was up early this morning, and I've said before, I had my COVID shot this morning as well, my first COVID shot, and I think I'm just flagging a bit, mate. John says, I was pleased to find I can get those War Games Atlantic figures here in Canada, and they also have Mantic stuff. Fantastic, mate. Just got to come up with some dough. Yeah, finding them's there. You didn't think finding them would be the easiest part. Mark Corley, good evening to you, mate. Bobby Clark, good evening. So I had to tidy up at the painting studio. I'd love to see a picture of your kind of painting area, mate. I can imagine when you sit, like, I know from my own experience, when I'm sitting in the same place every day to work, I need to have a regular tidy up, and I generally need to be. I like to be tidy because I don't have a lot of space to kind of get messy. Otherwise, I'll just box myself in. It's a bit of a shit cart in here, to be honest. But that's because I've been taking stuff out to kind of take down to the garage, and I've kind of set up a bit of a kind of cobbled together sort of desk and sort of streaming area. It looks completely different to what you see on camera. This is like the nice looking bit. This is a bit of a mess here. Yes. Jill says, all the Curse City chat reminds me of the way video game fans behave. So tired of it. It's kind of weird. It's definitely a GW thing, and I think it's just the size of their community. And then I think what happens is you then get the kind of like the social media crowd who want the clicks, and they want to get people engaging with them. So they chat about it to drive views. Negative stuff always drives more views than positive stuff, and I hate that. I think it's a real shame. Rob Brown, hello to you, mate. How are you doing? Christian's just sharing the link for Patreon there as well, from as little as $2 a month. Thank you very much, mate. Yeah, so as I said, I do this full time. I'm trying to provide content and provide topics and have a place to kind of hang out, have a bit of a social place for folks to come to. I'm not relying on. I mean, it's nice. It's a nice little kind of side earner, if you like, the ad revenue that comes from people watching the videos. But the Patreon is the main source of income for me, really, and that's what allows me to make the videos that I enjoy and make the videos that I hope you enjoy, rather than just kind of riding the clickbait train and stuff. Rob says, evening all, always listening but seldom chatting here. Keep up the good vibes. Yes, mate. Nice to see you in here. Phil says, howdy folks, bit late. What's the debate about tonight then? Not Curse City fiasco, mate. Mourinho getting the sack. I was surprised at that one, I'll be honest, mate. You've got the cup final coming up in a week's time or something. And the European Super League. The European Super League is an example. I'm not going to talk about sport, but it's an example of when money is more important than history and kind of tradition. That's what happens. Andy Smith, hello, mate. The Smiths are in, he says. He says, after all the excitement, I'm glad I didn't try for it. John says, have you ever tried any of the Osprey games? I've played Gaslands, mate, very, very briefly. And outside of that, I've got Last Days by Ash Barker. But generally, mate, no, I tend not to. I tend not to play them because they're kind of, my feelings on miniature agnostic stuff. I tend to prefer to support the company's miniature lines and play those games as well. And I get a lot of enjoyment from like kind of immersing myself in the world, if you like, of a game. So yeah, Osprey ones, I'm not against them. I don't think they're bad games or anything like that, but generally, no, I've not played them. Andy's painting Legion stuff. Ariel Sanchez says, I'm stepping away from all things GW for a while. Keep working on my Malifaux, Godtier, and Dystopian Wars. Also kind of interesting giving Dead Zone a try. Is it good? Yes, it is. We really are in a bit of a golden age for miniature gaming. It's a shame we've lost the last year to not being able to play games, but there's so many good rule sets out there now. There are so many good miniatures, like quality, like miniature sculpts. There's so much stuff, there's so much choice, there's so many different worlds to craft your games in. There's loads and loads of kind of rules only games if you're into using your 3D printer or using the miniatures you already have. There's never been a better time really to be in and around the hobby. And as nice as GW miniatures are, and as wonderful as their background lore and everything is, they are not the only company out there. So, like, I'm not bashing them. I'm not a GW fanboy. I'm not kind of like a GW hater. There are lots and lots of fantastic stuff out there. So have a look around. Like, they don't just kind of put the blinkers up and only have a look at one company. Johnson is here. Positive things about Dead Zone. Yep. Spinelot says, damn, now I want a cider. Andrew saying, you didn't need the COVID shot. You had the antibodies from having the illness. Don't need the shot. You do. You do if you want to be able to do anything in the future, mate. That's for sure. Andy says, I haven't had a COVID jab. Don't fancy it yet. Well, let's not get into that. But at the end of the day, mate, like, if they ask me, do I want to be the first person to have the shot? No, I don't think I do. Do I want to be like the kind of like the 40 millionth person to have the shot? I'm feeling a bit more confident about that point. Claudio is saying Dead Zone's just the best skirmish sci-fi game. Something good going on in the background. Yes, there is, as far as I understand. Phil Campbell says Ash Barker's done a really good, rational video about it. I'm sure he probably has, but I'm not interested in watching it. Again, even Ash doing those videos is just another person just kind of weighing in with like without any facts. I don't like. It's all right, kind of like speculating on stuff, but it's just feeding into the machine of negativity. I hate it. Ghost Winters, good evening. He says, hope you're well. How was your weekend? My weekend was a mixture of working very hard and drinking quite a few beers, if I'm honest. Marcus is saying my second shot hit for 18 hours after the injection. Yeah, I think my sister-in-law kind of, she was kind of like got the shot in the morning or something. By the evening, I think she was starting to feel a little bit ropey. But Spanky Taz says Ash did a video today giving his thoughts. Worth a watch. Nah. Busey says carpet. You don't want that there, mate. All those cigars and whiskey loose in the gaming room. There'll be no cigars in the gaming room, mate. No, I need a carpet because essentially, one, from the sound deadening point of view, I need some kind of like soft furnishings and stuff in there as well, so it's good for like audio wise. But the other side of it as well is I want something that's kind of like soft underfoot, that I'm not just standing on hard floors, like, because I'm going to be in there for like hours on end, so I need something soft under feet really. Let's have a look and catch up a little bit. I'm just going to skip ahead some of this as well. Disco Dolly says, I've been to the northeast and good weather up there is Baltic down here. Yes, you are right, but it's all in the context of what you get used to, don't you? Like, I think it's been about like 11 or 12 degrees today, and I was just out in a t-shirt. It was lovely. Marcus is saying, I feel GW will never catch a break. Either they make gold, but there's not enough to go around, or they miss the mark, and everyone wants to burn them at the stake. I think it's one of those things where once you reach a certain size, you pick up all the press, be it good press or bad press, and everybody has an opinion on what you're doing right and what you're doing wrong. I think it just happens with big companies. Like, everybody's kind of ranting and raving at the minute about all the big clubs who are wanting to break away and do something different. I think it's disgraceful personally, but nobody's ranting when kind of like Division 2 clubs like do something stupid. It never makes the news. And it's a similar thing with this, really. Peter says, I've got the age where nanobots in the bloodstream would be a good thing. Where was that one? We skipped ahead a bit there. There we are. Jigabachi says, have you heard about the terrible situation over at Van Ryder Games? I haven't. Let me know what it is. I'm a big fan of Hostage Negotiator. I've not heard anything about that. Like I see, I've kind of almost intentionally distanced myself from social media the last week, and also just not had like 5 spare minutes to actually to engage with it. So yeah, if something's happened, I've not heard it. Steve saying, I'm afraid all this anger is just society. Working in retail, I've seen loads of it. People just expect things now. I don't like it when companies say no. I think there is an element of that, mate. I think we're just, it's the perfect storm, I think, of everybody kind of being caged in their homes for the last 12 months, and society has this kind of I'm special and I want it now kind of thing. John says, so how many times can I say to myself, I've not bought whiskey so I can buy minis? Just buy whiskey as well, mate. And then once you've had a little bit too much whiskey, you'll probably buy minis anyway. Spunky Tail says, jumped up, cheers. Deep Red, I'm like number 36. Can I see? We've got 122 people in and 41 likes. I can't believe you're letting the side down, folks. If you haven't clicked that like button, please do. It really does help. Vijay says, I meant they know what the situation is. They just haven't made a decision on what they're going to do about it. I'm not sure I'm not even sure that they probably know what situation they're in. I don't think they've got a solution yet, and I think that's half the bother, mate. Because their PR department doesn't seem to really exist. You've got the communities team who obviously get fed information, but it changes, doesn't it? It changes, unfortunately, and just because they've said something doesn't mean that they're in the same situation like 2 or 3 weeks later when things are moving fast. Let's skip ahead a little bit. Peter Stockdale, good evening to you. Peter says, good night all. He's got an early shift tomorrow. Andrew says, about PR, it's a thing I remember from Internet Historian's No Man's Sky video. Ignore the PR, keep your head down, make good stuff, the love will come. I think there's a lot of truth in that, mate. That sometimes the worst thing you can do when kind of people are up in arms or everybody's wanting information, sometimes the worst thing you can do is try and engage with that. And sometimes spend your time working in the background to put it right and release more good stuff and have the good press come. Because sometimes by responding to it, you basically fan the flames and you make it a bit worse, because then what happens is one of two things. People accuse them of lying, saying, well, no, it can't possibly be that. Why would they say that? Or people jump on the bandwagon and kind of and it just rolls. And then as soon as they started engaging, more and more people ask questions. So I think there is definitely a case for keeping your head down a little bit sometimes and riding it out. You know, so I think that's not always a bad thing to do sometimes. Empty barrel rings the loudest. You're not wrong, mate. Paulie P says, will this do wonders for Descent Legends of the Dark? I think they're two different audiences, mate, if I'm perfectly honest. I think Descent is going to board gamers, people who enjoyed Descent, people who play board games, and I think Curse City is generally going to Games Workshop fans with a smattering of board gamers picking up on it as well. But generally, it's Games Workshop don't really engage the board game community in the same way, even though that they make some board games. I just think I think it's almost two different audiences. Excuse me. Spylord says, did I just put a Futurama reference in the background piece I am writing? Yes, I did. Colin Scott says, anyone excited for League of Infamy? Can't tell if the minis are PVC or hard plastic. They're hard plastic, I think, mate. Or are they? I'm not sure. I've not seen them firsthand, actually. I've only seen some resin. I think I saw some kind of like some resin first off type things, like tests. League of Infamy, I had a chance to play it a long time ago at Mantic, and I had two thoughts about it. I didn't back it myself, and I'll tell you why. My first thought was I really enjoyed the game. It was a lot of fun. I really enjoyed it. It's been really well designed. I think Sophie and James from Needy Cat Games, who've done the rules for the game, did a fantastic job of it. But for me personally, it wasn't a game to back, and that was because the way the game works, how we basically sort of almost you play as the bad guys and the heroes are basically almost like the enemies, and there's a bit of a traitor mechanic thing going on as well. It plays really well with like 4 or 5 people, and I knew I was never going to get it to the table often enough with 4 or 5 people. If it had been solo play, or if it had been 2-player focused, like even like 2-player doesn't really work. You really need a minimum of 3, and more than that is really where the game shines, I think. So for me personally, that was the reason I didn't back it. It was just something I didn't think I would be able to play enough, but that just doesn't make it a bad game. I really enjoyed playing it. I'm now starting to see the miniatures as well, and obviously all the halfling stuff that's starting to come out. I kind of wish I had backed it just for the miniatures, but it's not like I haven't got a pile of stuff that I'm already not getting to. Tasty Brain Drain, good evening. VG says, I'm keen to give Dust 1947 a go, but every time I get on their website or order something, constantly out of stock. It's quite an old game, mate, isn't it? Is it like, I don't even know how supported it is these days. I never really hear about it. Tasty Brain Drain says, hope I didn't miss much. We're just kind of rambling tonight, mate, to be fair. Christian sharing the link there for the t-shirts as well, the originals. You can get yourself one of these bad boys with the logo on the back as well. Vijay says, why would I get into a system with cool minis I can't get? Yeah, like I say, I know when it used to be, I forget who it is now, but it changed hands, the Dust game. And I'm not sure who owns it now, but you hardly ever hear of it these days. Tizzy Brain Drain says, really want to be here on time, but I use my lunch break to go get flea meds for your cat. Throat Sore, hello. It says, yes, you do. Having it doesn't mean you don't need the job. Yes. Tony Howell, hello, by the way, Throat Sore. Tony says, I'm being Mr. Current Events and finger on the pulse, painting up Mansions of Madness minis. I saw that, mate. Those miniatures look fantastic. Al says, Ash said he got like 1 million links and PMs and decided to sort it in one video. Not what you think. I think the problem is, mate, is it's just like so people asking him, like sort of messaging him, asking him what he thinks and stuff like that. I still think it's kind of just feeding into it, if I'm honest. I just think, like, for me, just let it ride out. But I mean, each content creator makes their content around what they want to make it about. For me, I just think that there's nothing to be said. Nobody knows the truth. You can have opinions, you can have thoughts on it, you can guess like everybody else is, but all you're doing is you're just adding fuel on the fire for me. Andrew says, Ash pretty much put it with his general thoughts and had the same opinion as you. Unless we're talking about two different things, really. Sorry, I see what you mean. so he basically said, we don't know anything. Jaquan is saying, yeah, Mansions of Madness, how are you doing them? Where was this one? Wow, that's jumped well ahead, that one. Where are we going? Here we are now. We're back. I'm back. It's going. Chat's going good tonight. Keep it up, folks. I'm enjoying it. Paul Inman, hello to you, mate. It says Dead Zone is awesome and Warpath version 2 is on the way. Warpath version 2 is not on the way, mate. Firefight version 2 is on the way. It says, which seems to draw a lot of inspiration from Dead Zone. Yeah, it's kind of, I think Warpath was never like a bigger version of Dead Zone, and it was never really a smaller version of Warpath. It was his own thing that didn't really kind of fit anywhere. So what Andy's doing for Mantic with that is really good news. Andy's snake feeding. So Dead Zone is life. Hello, Barry Kleiber. How you doing, sir? Jez Hunt says, evening all. Lockdown made them crazy. I think there's an element of that, mate, here as well. I've looked. Tasty Brain Drain says, whiskey versus minis. Sorry, but whiskey wins. Like I say, just drink more whiskey and you'll end up buying minis. So it's fine. Adam says Firefight is in beta testing right now. It is. The rules are free to download. You can join in with the beta testing. If you head over to Mantic site. Actually, if you head over to today's Mantic blog, I think Andy Sharp has kind of given his thoughts on where he kind of why he designed the game the way he's designed the game. Scott said he's liked it now. Thank you very much, mate. We're up to 71, 115 viewers, 71. We can squeeze a few more out, folks. Spider Lord says, during last night's spider hunt, I managed to document something never seen before. Very exciting if you're into spiders. I don't know anything about spiders, mate. Claudio says, can't wait for BlackJack Legacy's announcement that the first 10 games he will play in his new room will be different Dead Zone scenarios. Do you know what, mate? Obviously, I've got all my Dead Zone scenery here, all pretty much prepped now. So, all of this stuff. So yeah, my Dead Zone scenery is sorted. And Craig over at Uncertain Scenery, let me just give a little shout out to Craig. There he is. Sent me over some MDF stuff to take a look at and do a bit of a review on if I so wish. I've only just opened the package today, to be fair, because I've not had a chance to look at it. But he sent me over some of the amazing MDF boards that he does, which are fantastic for Dead Zone. Oh, excuse me, hiccups. So yeah, I think we'll definitely be having a bit of Dead Zone on the channel in the future. Claudio says, this channel has gone far too long without Dead Zone. Time back, baby. Nice to see you, mate. Let me skip ahead a little bit. Paul saying, GW are damned if they do, damned if they don't. So in this case, why bother expending the effort? Yeah. Steve says, I wish you lot would shut up about booze. I'm on a double dose of antibiotics with an infection in my mouth, and I can't drink any alcohol. Sorry, mate. If it helps me, I'm not drinking. I've got water tonight. So yeah, I'll be on the soft stuff with you. Good evening, Ed. How are you doing, mate? Jigabachi says, one of the designers at Van Ryder was responsible for a double murder-suicide. Do you know what it is? I did hear that story last week, but I didn't realise the guy worked at Van Ryder. I didn't realise that. I saw something in one of the board game groups I'm in, and there was kind of people saying, like, I don't even know how to kind of process this, really. And I knew the person had something to do with the board gaming community, but I didn't know who it was. Oh, wow. Now it all makes sense now. Peter says, a small spider watched me doing the washing up one Saturday. Nice. Paul says, League of Infamy is PVC miniatures. They're okay, but there's some issue with the bases. So are they the same material as what like Dungeon Saga and stuff was? David Milano, good evening, David. He says, so I'm new to painting minis, board gaming mostly, and it can be kind of overwhelming, all the do it this way or don't ever do it that way options out there. Not from you, bit of a rant. Sorry, feel free to rant about that kind of stuff, mate. I'm a big advocate of sort of by all means watch other people to get some tips. I think if you're trying to replicate a certain thing, watching a tutorial is a great way to do it. But let's not get ourselves bogged down in this. We are painting miniatures to have a bit of fun, to relax, to get some colour on the miniatures, and it's if you enjoy doing it and you're happy with the outcome, does it really matter how you get there? Like I'm not a fantastic painter. I do a painting stream every week, and you will see me doing lots of little shortcuts, getting the base colour down, giving it a wash over the top, a bit of dry brush, sort of just, like cutting corners, really. Because at the end of the day, all you really want to do is you just want to play with some nice painted miniatures, don't you? So yeah, I do know what you mean, and I've kind of have my own internal rants about that. There is a lot of kind of snobbery and kind of gatekeeping a little bit when you get painting at higher levels, but yeah, when it just comes, it's just a bit of fun. Don't sweat it. Ed says, the majority of people I know who bought Curse City are board gamers, not minis gamers. I think it's generally probably quite sort of, in the main, it'll be a lot fewer. I think the vast majority of people who've bought it have bought it for the miniatures, basically, or they're people that have played kind of Blackstone Fortress. But I think they're generally GW fans. I think that the difference with this one maybe is that there was a lot of hype about it, and the theme was fantastic, and I think obviously people have got interested in it. But I think, Ed, it's you're maybe in a bit of a kind of maybe a smaller bubble of that. I don't think it's necessarily the overwhelming kind of side of things. John says there are some sweet minis coming for League of Infamy for Kings of War. Yeah, those Halfling stuff. What's the big thing called? I forget what it's called now. Not a steel juggernaut, because that's what it reminds me of. But yeah, that model. Yeah, it must be devastating for a small team. I bet it is, mate. Andy Smith says, Spider Lord, how's it going? How are spies are being fed? Paul Paul says, I got like 69, my favourite number. There you go, mate. You get a bonus point for that one. Blizz says, there are new releases coming from Dust 47 this summer. Everything's made in China, so COVID. Who makes Dust now? Is it AEG who does it now? Or is it somebody else? Because I can't remember who used to do it and it moved around. Jess, it's how's the game in Chateau coming on, Andy? I was talking about it earlier on, mate. I've kind of been breaking my back to try and get it kind of completed because I've got carpet fitters coming on Thursday. So yeah, I'm at a point now where it's kind of like a shell now. Everything's like the walls are all up, all the cables are running, all the electrics are done, everything's cleaned out and stuff, ready to get the paint on the walls tomorrow. And then, yeah, like I say, carpet goes down on Thursday. So I'll probably do a bit of an update video at the end of the week because it'll be at a state where it'll start to look like something that you might be interested in seeing. If I'd shown you before, it would have just been like kind of like stud walls and cables and bits and pieces. And Andy says he's getting ready for more Infinity N4 in a few weeks on Fast Panda channel. Yeah, he's got a good channel out of Infinity. Where was that one? Why is it when I move it a little bit, it goes flying? Here we go. Throat Sauce says, Dust is cool. If you're having difficulty, however, you could try Conflict 47. I remember hearing Dust is pretty decent because it used to work on like a grid-based system as well, didn't it? A bit like Dead Zone. Tasty Brain Drinks, I totally understand. To David there, I'm not new to board gaming, but I am new to minis, and I'm trying to sort through a lot of different views on painting. The only view you should have is, are you enjoying it? That's the one. Paul says, Dust is a Tale of War. It was originally done by Dust Studios, which was owned by Paolo Parenti. However, they got involved with Battlefront and it went wrong. Yeah, I forget. There's some kind of something at the back of my mind that tells me that it's kind of moved around a little bit. Spunky Taz says, jump the head, cheers. I can't help it, mate. It's the chat just goes flying, mate. I'll try not to see it though. Warwick says, the amount of people upset with content creators that got sent a free copy of Curse City just because they got it free is wild. Normally these people hype up games, no reason to be mad they got it. I think it's people just need something to be angry about, and they want to be angry at somebody else and not themselves. So I think everybody's is kind of free game for getting the finger pointed at them at the minute. Mountain Gremlin Games says Dead Zone is life. I tell you what I would say is Dead Zone fans are passionate fans, that's for sure. Jill says Dust was my favourite game, but the last few years have made it very difficult game to support. No UK distribution, model line just getting more and more. Big boobs, no armor. Is it real? I know very little about it. All I kind of remember about it was there was two versions. There was Dust Tactics, I think, and Dust. And do the models come? I don't know if they come pre-primed or they come like sort of certain colours. I in my head they were a bit simpler to paint because they kind of come pre-coloured or something. But yeah, I can't remember now. Claudio says those battle zones look ace. Have to work on mine. Yes, I must admit I don't. In fact, let me see if I can grab something. Just I've just opened the top of the packet there and got the instructions. So this is one of the. Let me grab this. Fantastic chat there. So this is one of the. Or I've got. You sent two of these ones, so you'll be able to see them on camera there. So I think these are basically 2 foot by 2 foot squares. So he sent me 4 in total, which will make a 4 foot by 4 foot board. I think that's, are they 1 foot by 1 foot? I forget now. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Do you know what it is? I can't even remember. 1, 2. I forget now. Anyway, he sent me 4 boards. So there's 2 of those T-junction ones, and then there's 2 straight sections, I think. But they go together, and they kind of, like, as you can see, you can play on like different, like, multiple levels and stuff. So I'm looking forward to taking a look at them. Like I say, I'm in the middle of doing 10 things at the minute, but yeah, I'm looking forward to taking a look at them. Let's skip ahead a little bit. Yeah, Claudio saying that uncertain scenery stuff's really nice. Have something myself. Christian sharing the link for the merch as well, the caps, the hats, the polo shirts. Thank you very much, Christian. Jacob, good evening to you. He says, I'm 40 minutes behind on the stream. So it's all right, mate. I think I am as well, to be fair. David says, I come from a visual arts background, so I know painting, but I'm new to applying that to minis. The absolutes that are out there seems weird to me when there are often several ways to achieve a satisfying mini. There's several ways, mates, to do it. I think some people just, they have the way that they enjoy or the way that they think is the way to do it. And I think sometimes they preach it as in, this is gospel, this is how you should do it. The only things that are really kind of like what I would suggest are kind of must-dos is put a primer on them because it helps the paint to stick. If you're going to paint bright colours, tend to go with a bit of a lighter primer. If you're going to paint dark colours, tend to go with a bit of a darker primer. Everything else after that is just get the paint on the mini and like thin your paints, I guess, is the other one, just so it doesn't kind of like obscure the detail and stuff. But after that, however you get the paint on, if you're using little bits of wooden sticks rather than brushes and it works, then it works, it's fine. Jacob says, drop a like, you scallywags. The poor man is slaving away. Thank you very much. I would love to get to 100 likes tonight, folks. It would be nice to get 100 likes. We've got 120 people in watching. That would be nice. I feel like I'm begging for likes. It's terrible. It's just, it does make a difference. Because basically what it does is it triggers YouTube to kind of say, oh, people like that video, we'll share it out to the other folks who've not watched it yet. So it helps me out in the long run, that's all. VJ is saying he's, where was that one? VJ says, his mini swaps photographed now. Do I post with pics with a spoiler tag? I would, mate. Do it so I can have a look at it as well. Let me skip ahead a little bit. Well, or I would do until it didn't move there. What was Peter saying? I bought Curse City because Andy Bird has made me do it. Claudia says, on a non-dead zone note, I've enjoyed 5 parsecs so much right now. My enemies are Star Wars minis. I have to print printed. I have to print and I don't have any paint on them. Nothing wrong with that, mate. Nothing wrong with that. Current Kick says, how's it going, Andy? I was painting my Curse City for a video when all that stuff hit. Not sure if people will want to watch content about a game they can't get now. I've put it on the back burner. Never stop, mate. If you're enjoying doing it, do your content. There are other people that have been painting up Curse City stuff as well. Everybody has a slightly different take on it when they're painting it. Absolutely do your content, mate. You don't have to feed into the negativity of it. People will watch it. Even the people that didn't get a chance to get their hands on it will watch it because they'll take those inspiration and use it on other stuff. So like, yeah, I would still go ahead with it, mate. I would still go ahead with it. Ed saying, probably not, but Blackstone Photos was really popular with board gaming crowd around here, and that drove people. Yeah, I can imagine that. I think if folks are getting into it, I think the thing is with Blackstone Fortress and Silver Tower, they really are like board games when it comes from a GW point of view, with some expansions and bits and pieces. And I think they do they're intended to appeal to a board gaming crowd. I just don't think GW market themselves to a board gaming crowd. They spend a lot of time talking about the miniatures when they kind of like building the hype. They give you loads of background information. They show you loads and loads of shots of the miniatures, and they almost forget to tell you about the game. I mean, it wasn't until we got the gameplay stuff towards the end that we actually found out anything about how the game plays, really. So it's interesting the way that they market stuff. It's almost as if the game player is secondary, and I don't think that appeals to a board gaming crowd. That's kind of what I'm getting at. Did FFG own it originally? I forget about that one. Jill was saying there. Lord Tetapants says, Bugger Curse City, I'm waiting for my War Master Titan. So many parts, though, a BlackJack nightmare. I need to see some pictures of that, mate, when it comes. Just saying, bloody hell, Andy, well done, dude. Yeah, I'll get some pictures, mate, when it comes together. But like I say, I've tried to kind of do stuff like this in the past, and I've tried to do it on the cheap, and I've tried to shortcut things and stuff. This time I've learned from what I've done in the past, and I've literally run sort of HDMI cables in with, when you can get like the little like the plates with HDMI sockets in and stuff. I've kind of run them around so I can take a camera, mount a camera, just like there'll be a socket there. There's a HDMI socket that goes in. It means it'll run it around to kind of where the PC will be because I'm still in two minds about putting a PC in there, but I run the cables in with the intention of being able to do that. It means I can kind of connect them to monitors and stuff. So there's been a lot of kind of background work gone into what do I need to do before the walls go up kind of thing. So yes, I'll look forward to sharing it when I get to that point. Lord Maiden says, yeah, I agree. Only thing you should worry about with painting is, are you enjoying it? Exactly, mate. Spylord says, Curse City site is actually still up, just the product and mentions of it are gone. You have to assume it'll return. I think it's one of those things where they're obviously they've probably been getting inundated constantly with people asking, when's it coming back, when's it coming back, when's it coming back, and they've probably not got the information to be able to share that right now, so they've just taken it down. It's like, why leave it up there saying out of stock when people can't buy it? Like, it's almost like kind of like teasing them. So I think they've taken it away. The problem is that creates it, like the kind of the rumor mill goes into overdrive, and it's like it never existed. Now they're not going to make any expansions. Like the whole world's kind of crumbling around your ears, kind of thing. Peter said, I just want to say I'm not angry, although sometimes I redline my poor little motorbike. I know what you mean, mate. Tasty Brain Drain saying, damn, that is nice terrain. It is nice terrain, actually. When the guys at Uncertain Scenery contacted me and saying, like, would you be interested in and sort of like taking a look at some, it was like, yeah, absolutely, Leia. I've seen it online. It looks fantastic. I don't think I've really seen any kind of painted up and stuff, but I see lots of like the bare MDF stuff. So yeah, that at some point when I've got my space back together, we'll get a proper full review of that stuff up. Just saying the kits look good. Yeah. Steve's saying 1 foot by 1 foot. That's right, mate. Because Dead Zone's on a 2 foot by 2 foot, so you have 4 boards. That's what I was trying to think of. Clarice says, if you have 4 of those pieces, you don't need a mat for Dead Zone anymore, and you have more levels already. Yeah, I'm looking forward to kind of to see that stuff. Spanky Taz says, hit the likes. Be nice to see YouTube get triggered for a change. Yeah, 100%. Spylord says, at least the Phantom disliker hasn't struck yet. I tend to kind of like, I've got generally one person who likes to come and dislike my videos. So yeah, but I'm all right. Whoever it is, I'm quite happy because it still counts. YouTube doesn't care if it's a thumbs up or a thumbs down. It all means the same to them. Lord Main says, I decided to paint something sci-fi for a change. I am both enjoying it and finding it a slog. I know what you mean, mate. It kind of, sometimes some things, like, you have to fight through them, don't you? Current Kicks appreciate that. And yeah, honestly, when it comes to making sort of videos, YouTube videos, podcasts, any of that kind of stuff, if you're going to paint it anyway, then film it. Make it a video. Don't make videos for other people. Make them for yourself, because it was something I learned a long time ago. I can make videos that will get me a lot more views, but I won't enjoy it. So what's the point? Like, all I'm doing then is just basically working for somebody else, like I used to do when I had a different job. At least that now I work for myself, and I make the stuff I enjoy, and hopefully other people enjoy it too. And hopefully enough people enjoy it that this can kind of keep rolling on. And that's generally the way I look at it. If you're just making videos to please other people, you'll never truly enjoy doing it. Peterson, don't remind her. Spylord says, there was a new painting challenge. Never did find my Dreadball team. There kind of was, mate, but honestly, like I said, with me being ill and everything else that's been going on, I kind of got a bit sidetracked. I kind of half announced the Malifaux one, didn't I? But I think what we'll do is we'll probably we might have Malifaux May. That might be a bit more kind of that might work a bit well. I think also as well, with all the Curse City hype going on, I think everybody was kind of sucked into that, and I think if we wait until May, it'll probably give people a bit of a something new to talk about. Ghost Winters says, bit of a different question than having people over to play games. Would you ever consider doing an in-person painting demo? An in-person painting demo? Do you know what it is, mate? I don't consider myself good enough, if I'm honest. I do the painting streams on a Wednesday, and essentially the reason I started doing them painting streams was it was like everyone was locked down, everyone was stuck at home. It was nice to have some other content to talk about, and I have to paint the stuff anyway to get it ready to put on the channel. So if I'm sitting painting all night, I might as well turn the camera on and have a chat with folks. So my painting streams are generally not me teaching somebody else how to paint. I think I've got like my own style. I kind of like I've got to a point where I'm not trying to kind of paint to the best of my ability. I've managed to kind of straddle that line between speed and quality, I think, for me personally. So I mean, I'd be 100% happy to do it, but I'm not really sure anybody would learn anything from me personally. Excuse me. ASDF says Blackstone Fortress was my gateway into minis. Interesting. Oh, I've got proper track win now. Interesting. Claudio saying, sorry, I meant to say 5 parsecs gets me motivated to print and paint. Oh, sorry. Or paint already printed minis lying around. That's good, mate. Anything that kind of gives you a bit of motivation is never a bad thing. Throwsaw says, I did a couple of videos on AT43. It was discontinued years ago, but we like it. Do the content you want to do, 100%, mate. Ari Don says, some board games are like, we have this great rule set, or we also have some miniatures. GW is like, we have these great miniatures, or we also have a rule set. Yeah, I completely agree as well. I mean, they definitely sell their products on the back of the quality of the miniatures. There are other companies who sell their products on the amount of miniatures you get. When it comes to board games, certainly anyway. Like if you think about like Simon and their games and things like Zombicide, you wouldn't necessarily say they were bad miniatures or bad sculpts or anything like that, but it's generally like, look at how many you get. That's the big thing, is like, look at how many you get. And then there are some games that are just designed to be really good games, and they decide to include miniatures with them because that's what like sells on Kickstarter or whatever else. But for me personally, I'd rather have, when it comes to board games, I'd rather have a game that was really fun to play, that had good miniatures, good quality miniatures, as opposed to a game that had absolutely fantastic quality miniatures, but the game was a bit of a letdown. But like, I'm buying it to play the game. If I just want nice miniatures, there are thousands of companies out there making nice miniatures. If I'm buying a game, I kind of want a good game. Mark says, my cheap black box airbrush compressor died a death today. It lasted about 3 months. So the money I saved not buying Cursey, I'm going to grade my airbrush setup. Mine's still going, actually, my cheap one. Both of them are still going. Ed says, GW have always been a minis company who have games as a justification for people to buy their minis. I'm not even sure, like, I would love to, I mean, you'll never ever find this out, but I would love to know how many people buy Games Workshop miniatures purely just to paint, just to hobby. Like, in the way people buy, like, Airfix kits. I think it's way more than you'd imagine. Christian sharing the link there for Goblin Games as well. Thank you very much, Chris. Spunky Tal says, PCs, electrical equipment doesn't always do well in cold environments like garages. It's not a cold environment, mate. It's all insulated, and it's all kind of it's like with our central heating boiler in there as well. So it's a nice warm place, mate. Nothing to worry about. I used to do my streams. I used to do my live streams from in there as well. So it's a space that I've used in the past. But yeah, it's not cold. Peter saying 99 likes. We got 107 now. Oh no, we haven't. We got 107 viewers. How many likes? I can't see. Oh, I can't even see where it is there. Let me stretch that out a bit. 108. There we go. We're all right. We got over the 100. Thank you, folks. Vijay saying, okay, time to check the primed box and see what I want to paint next. Nice one. Bren B says, I just logged in. What's tonight's topic? There is no topic tonight, mate. We're just chatting about gaming in general, miniatures, just bits and pieces, really. We're having a bit of, I tend to call them a bit of a random ramble. It just means that we talk about whatever folks want to talk about. We hang out, we talk for as long as we can, and we just talk about all the different things. Marcus is saying he's just finished sculpting. Now he needs to pin the legs and the feet and find something to perch the Vargulf on. Nice one. Lord Maiden says Malifaux May. Malifaux. Yeah, Malifaux. That'll work. Molly Dame, Molly Mayday. It's all getting complicated now, yeah. Just Kev says, hey gang, sorry I'm late. Apologies, it's been discussed and banned as a topic, but wanted to ask if you'd heard about a curiosity issue being linked to intellectual property. There's no way that's linked to intellectual property, mate. That's just somebody kind of... It's probably come from the same place that the $300 price tag come from, to be fair, mate. Jill says, damn it, Melee 4 is too good not to do so. Isn't it? Exactly. May the 4 be with you. You all should have a job in headline writing, that's for sure. Vijay saying, okay folks, Blitzball team, should I paint next? Currently I have Skaven, Dark Elves, Halflings, Wood Elves and Dwarfs. Undead, mate. Go with the undead. Claudio saying, May for me is May the 4th. Yeah, I must admit, like, May the 4th is always Star Wars for me as well, though. Spider-Lord says, sounds good. I was thinking of picking up some of those generic male-female builder figure boxes. They're pretty good, mate. Those are the ones for Through the Breach. I couldn't remember the name of it there. My brain went blank. Tony Booth Leiden, good evening to you, sir. Ghost Winter says, thanks for the honesty. Although your painting looks class, I imagine it would be more like painting evening hangout with people in person, more of a social thing. Yeah, I'd be up for that. I'd be 100% just kind of like hanging out and stuff like that, mate. Yeah, I'd do that in person. Let's have a look. Where were we up to here? Everybody chatting about that. King Crow, Steward of the Realm, good evening. Says, have you guys discussed Hellboy and the Part 2 Kickstarter yet? Thoughts on Hellboy board game? We haven't discussed it yet. Now's as good a time as any. So Hellboy, I really like Hellboy, the board game. I was fortunate enough to be invited to be part of the play testing for the game, so I was involved with the play testing at the start. I was fortunate enough to go down and film some videos with James when he was making the game, so we managed to do a playthrough. And my name, I've got my credits. My name's in the credits at the start as being part of the play test gang. So that does not affect my opinions on the game, but I was involved at the start. I really like the Hellboy board game. I think it scales really well. I think it's a good example of a dungeon crawler that's not just about combat. There's some investigation and kind of searching and stuff in there as well. There's a real kind of mechanic of like that clock of doom ticking down to kind of like you can't just kind of hang around searching for stuff. You've got to keep progressing the mission. I backed the Kickstarter myself. I didn't get it sent to me for free or anything like that. I backed the Kickstarter myself. I do have the all-in pledge from the Kickstarter. I'm not backing the second one. And the reason I'm not backing it is I've not even sort of anywhere near playing through everything that I got on the first Kickstarter. It's a fantastic game. You can play it solo. You can play up to 4 players. But I've just not exhausted what I've already got. And I'd be wasting money just like buying into the second Kickstarter and just getting involved in the hype. However, if you do like that kind of game, I 100% recommend kind of like getting in and backing it. If you like the first one, you'll like the second stuff. But for me personally, I've got too many stuff on the go, and I don't need more expansions. I don't need more content. I haven't played everything I've got. Paul saying Weird World War isn't really my bag either. I did like Return to Castle Wolfenstein, or just fancy painting the miniatures. Yeah, it's nice just to have something, a bit of a palette cleanser, made something a bit different. Craig says, cheers for the shout out. Hello, mate. I didn't realise you were in the chat there, mate. I've literally, like I've been saying before, I don't know how much of the chat you caught. I've been absolutely kind of like rammed with doing some building work at home and stuff like that. So I opened it out of the bubble wrap before the chat tonight, just to have a look at it. But yeah, for those that didn't see it earlier, this is one of the things that Craig had sent. So yes. Looks fantastic, and I can't wait to get it out and get it built. Ed says, my instinct from being involved in my local store community is more than half of GW fans are pure hobby. Yeah, it wouldn't surprise me if it's even more than that, to be honest, mate. Lord Maiden says, maybe they're worth it. Maybe it's merely for. Blizzard saying, merely for why I have to buy a new crew for that. I don't think there's anything left for you to buy, Blizz, is there? Vijay says, Uncle Adams was saying he heard the cursor issue was to do with damaged mould. It didn't mention it before, as I'd rather not add fuel to the fire. Yeah, I think the IP thing, there's no way a company the size of GW gets to the point of infringing on IP after a game has come out. The other side of it is it's their own IP, so I'm not sure whose IP they're infringing on if that was the case. And it's based on their existing games. So yeah, I wouldn't even kind of give that any credibility, to be fair. I'm just skipping ahead a bit here. Deep Red says the 8th of May is Motorhead Day. Motorhead Day. Barry says, I really enjoy the Hellboy game. Still play it when I have the chance. Backed all the expansions. Not sure I'd do part 2, though. Still haven't played what I have. That's it, mate. Exactly, kind of echoes what I said. I got a lot of stuff in that first Kickstarter. There was it would take if I only ever played one game, it would take me a hell of a long time to get through that. And what was in that first Kickstarter as well was the I think they were called the BPRD files, so you could kind of like craft your own game. The scenarios have really good replayability as well, because you never know what stuff's going to come out. It's not like you play through a mission and it's the same mission every time. So yeah, it's for me personally, I have a lot of stuff already. I don't need to be spending money on more of it. Spider-Lord said he's going to back part 2 in the hope it'll inspire me to play part 1 more. That makes sense, right? I think that's how Kickstarters work, mate. Bless says, well, not all the Explorer Society are out yet. There is that, mate, as well, to be fair. I tell you what, speaking of Explorer Society, I've got some stuff dotted about there, actually. Oh, I might have put it in the other room. But yeah, I've got a few bits of Explorer Society I've been building up. Have I caught up with the chat? That never happens. How do I manage to do this one? Deep Red says, Radio 2 always plays Ace of Spades on the 8th of May. Long live Lemmy. You're not wrong, mate. Tasty Brain Dreams, I have both the male and female builder kit for Through the Breach. Someone gave them to me years ago and they've just been collecting dust. Yeah, they're nice kits, actually. There's not a lot of kits like that, which are almost kind of like just a like almost a kit bash type like thing to build different types of generic. Is that right? Different generic characters. Claudio says, I want to see the Hellboy dice game reskin for Dead Zone. I have the Hellboy dice game. It was sent to me about, it must have been over a year ago, before COVID. And there was going to be a thing, I think they sent it out to a few different kind of like YouTube channels, podcast channels type things. And I think the idea was we were going to do like a bit of a challenge. Everybody was going to basically record their game to see what score they could get. And it was going to be a bit of a challenge thing to see who could get the highest score. But then obviously COVID and everything hit, and obviously the game took a bit of a backseat. But yeah, I've got a copy of it. It's been here for quite some time. Where are we up to here? King Crow saying, thanks, don't have any other board games. Hellboy is my thing. More is great for me. I have had it for 2 months, already played through 6 case files and random 3 files. It's a great game. If you're enjoying it, mate, and you see some value in buying more stuff for it, 100% back it. The quality of the sculpts for the miniatures are good. The gameplay is obviously just going to be more of the same, if you like, and I mean that in a positive way, as in if you're enjoying it, you're going to enjoy the expansions. I as far as board games go, I think it's one of the better ones, if you like, really, when it comes to board games created by miniatures companies. I think they did a fantastic job of it, and I think that's because actually, like, Mantic know they make nice miniatures, and then they bring people in to write rules for the game. So they bring people like James and Sophie in. They've always kind of done that. So it's interesting, really, that they do give credence to the rules for the games. Ghost Winter says, are any of the Malifaux miniatures metal? I remember when I was young, my brother having some 40k in Lord of the Rings and some minis being metal. So the version 1, if you like, Malifaux, when it was at version 1, were all metal miniatures. Malifaux is now at version 3 now, or M3 as it's called, 3rd edition. They're all plastic now. So they're all plastic kits now. Bren B says, a friend just introduced me to Gaslands. That might be a quality monthly challenge. Mad Max styling on Hot Wheels cars. I think we could probably do something for that like that, but it's not personally something I enjoy doing. I'm not really I don't have kind of like a pile of bits and pieces to kind of to put into Hot Wheels cars and stuff. But if other folks want to do it, I'm happy to kind of to give some kind of sort of wide ranging challenge type thing. Mini Swap picks it up in the Discord. I'll check them out, mate, after this. King Crow says, are they wrapping up Hellboy storylines? Starts with BBD Hell on Earth storylines. They made even more after this. That's the other side as well. They do respect the law. They do the same thing with Walking Dead as well. They kind of really respect the kind of the comic books and the story. So if you are a fan of Hellboy, actually having the full playthrough of the story is a really good thing as well. Ghost Winter says, makes sense why I've not seen many about. Didn't know if certain single minis were metal or not. Yeah, in fact, I do have some down here. Let me just grab some for you. Give me a second. So, this is all stuff I've been building up. So this is Nekima. See that? Oh, go on, don't focus on me. That's it. Focus on me. So you can see there, they're all plastic stuff. And then we've got things like Bad Juju as well. This is a huge mini, especially when you compare it to like some of the other stuff that comes in that kit. Gives you an idea of the size difference. Some amazing stuff, but yeah, they need to get some paint on them, that's for sure. Now I'm surrounded by Malifaux minis. Hang on. We'll put them down there. So yeah, I was building them up a little while ago. I've hardly painted anything. Just like I say, I've been spending all my time doing building work. Claudia says, confession time, I'm a metalhead, so I'm Motorhead at Wacken, but was pretty disappointed as they were the only loud and nothing else. I've seen some bands that I've been disappointed with, where they essentially they turned up and played and then left. There was no kind of like banter with the crowd. It was like they kind of went through the motions, and that was a shame, really. King Crow saying, wow, cool. Yeah, they're beautiful models, mate. Really nice. Jason says, anyone watch Adam Savage's channel? He's been hand making a replica of Hellboy's Samaritan pistol. Incredible. I do watch it from time to time, mate. He's made Hellboy's sword, Excalibur, is it? He's made Hellboy's sword as well. Really nice. Ghost Winter says, nice. They look smashing. Malifaux minis, beautifully sculpted. Can't wait to get my hands on some. I hear they'd be fiddly, or is that subjective? I think it is a bit subjective. It depends what you're used to making, like kind of wise. I think some of them can be a bit fiddly, but not to the point where like it's frustration. I think back in 2nd edition, they had some really kind of fiddly bits and pieces. But like, I think as an example, like some of these were a little bit fiddly. I think like some of the branches and stuff might have been separate. So they were a little bit fiddly. And then you also get models. You get models like this as well. I mean, look at the size of that one. So, yeah, some of them are small. But that's just one model. They're not all that small. That was just one. Let me have a look. Jill saying, looking at Malifaux minis is always a joy. Sadly, COVID affected my job in such a way I haven't been able to buy new minis in 7 months. Jill, I hope things pick up for you soon. It's not fun, is it? It's not fun at all. Al Mullen, good evening. Says, just tuning after work. What we've been chatting about? We've just been chatting about miniatures and games and hobby and board games, and just pretty much we're having a bit of a rambly chat tonight. Sundered Sykes, I love Adam's video when he built the gun from Blade Runner. I like a lot of those prop builds that he does. Spanky Taz says, I'll take the loud noise of a metal band over the encore from the Human League. They came on, turned on some reel-to-reel decks and then left. My God. Who I once saw, I was at like a works event, like a works do, like a charity event, and Level 42 were playing. I'm going back a few years ago, but like this was like Level 42 playing way after their heyday, and it was weird to see them. They did kind of look like an old man tribute band, it was kind of weird because it was like I recognise the songs, but I don't recognise them being sung like that. Blizzard's just saying you can go on Weird's website and look at the build instructions to see what you're in. Yeah, the build instructions are all pretty good actually. They're all on Weird's site. There's the odd one that's a little bit fiddly and stuff, but generally, if you've built miniatures before, they've got good instructions. You shouldn't really have any issues. There's always the odd one that's a bit funny, but to be fair, I've had fiddly Games Workshop miniatures. I've had fiddly miniatures from other people as well. So I don't see it as like a Malifaux problem. I think it's one of those things where they had some really bad ones in the past, and then they just got this reputation for having fiddly miniatures, I think. Spider-Lord is saying AC/DC is one I must see. Wasn't interested with Axel, but now Brian's back. I took my two oldest sons to Wembley to see AC/DC, and it really was fantastic. That was a hell of a show. And Bliss says, level 42, I loved that one song they had. Yeah, it was weird. It was just like I wouldn't have, like, obviously kind of like paid to see them or anything like that, but it was some charity event, and they were like one of the bands that was playing at this charity event. And I must admit, I was just like, when, like, at first, I didn't realise it was level 42. Like I say, I thought it was just some, like, tribute band type thing, and I'm thinking, that's a bit weird. Like, they've had all these big names of, like sort of famous people handing out awards and stuff, and then they've got this, like old blokes, this random band, and somebody said to me, no, that actually is level 42. It's his plastic flayed ones. Yeah, I've heard about those ones. Yeah, the one I always remember is one of the Goliaths for Necromunda has a cigar in his mouth, and the cigar is separate. It's not part of the face sculpt. I mean, he's got a big hole in his face where the cigar goes, so it's not like you choose not to put it in kind of thing. But yeah, even just trying to clip it off, it's not big enough to physically hold with your fingers. I had to use tweezers to try and put it into the mouth. John says, who needs instructions? I like the 3D jigsaw putting together Mantic models sometimes. That is the worst thing about Mantic models, is the lack of instructions. I would agree. And I don't like the fact that, like, the weapons, like when you take a weapon on a miniature, obviously it creates different points cost, or it has different weapon profiles, and I never know what the weapons are. Like, they're just, like, there's these random weapons on sprues, and because there's no instructions, I never know which one each one is. Spunky Taz says, when he was a taxi driver putting himself through college, Brian Johnson was one of my regulars when he was back in Newcastle seeing his kids. Top bloke. I watched a video the other day online, which was it's on Brian Johnson's channel, and it was him and Mark Knopfler coming back to the northeast, and they were kind of on the beach at Whitley Bay and stuff, and at the Spanish city, as made famous in the Dire Straits song. And it was really nice to see these kind of like two old rockers kind of just like reminiscing about stuff. It was really good. If you Google it, you'll find it. It's a nice video. Alice is going to be doing some basing for a Cursed City tonight. Feeling so bad for people who couldn't get it. I'm sure it'll be back right. Yeah, I'm sure at some point, mate. Jill says, Legion B1 droid heads in being in two pot. I agree. Now that was a nightmare. I tell you what else was a nightmare as well. Was these buggers. So if I remember right, these are the Ossiarch Bone Reapers. Go on, zoom in there. And those heads were in 4 parts. Let me see if I can lean forward a bit closer and see if I can show you. So, you see how the skull is like in 4 quarters? Those were 4 different bits that you glued together, and they were a pain in the backside as well. Yeah, they were an absolute pain in the backside. Barry says, that cigar had me cross-eyed for 2 days. I had it in the tweezers, and the tweezers like nipped it and it shot out, and it was like, well, that's lost, isn't it? That's completely gone. And luckily it kind of pinged and it ended up like on a piece of paper where I could see it, but it was pure luck. I was thinking I'm going to have to try and carve some bit of sprue or something like that. Claudia says, not sure if anyone's heard of the skirmish game Twists. Ian made some video on the Way to Fire channel, and those seem to be so fiddly. I have heard of the game, mate, but I must admit I've not seen anything about the miniatures themselves. Spider-Lord says, Blood Bowl Witch Elf's thumb is a separate piece. God, yeah. Where are we up to here? Jason says, Brian Johnson series is awesome. The Dolly Parton one is hilarious. I really like the one where he's with, what's it called again? Dave Grohl from the Foo Fighters as well, when they're talking about their kind of like their tour vans and stuff like that. That's pretty cool. Spylaw says, Bruce Dickinson was like that when I met him years ago. No pretension, just a good bloke. Drunk John Smiths. Jill says, thanks, bud. Things will pick up eventually. Then I'll be jumping on Patreon and picking up the Explorers for Malifaux. Pretty sure Sonia Crud's mask used to be a separate part of her face. Wow. Yeah. But yeah, fingers crossed. I really hope things sort themselves out. What's wrong with Dolly Parton? She's a general Dolly Parton, is it? My God. How we doing? We still got a good crowd in. I was going to start to wrap it up if we didn't have many in. But yeah, we've still got over 100 in. That's not bad for a random rambly stuff. I kind of believe there's 100 of you want to come and hang out and just talk crap with me, but you're all welcome. You're all welcome to do so. So I also had another delivery. Was it Friday? I think it was. So these are all stuff that I will get to when I'm not being Bob the Builder. So I was very fortunate that War Cradle reached out and said, we like what you've been doing with your Lost World Exodus stuff. Would you like some? So they sent me a Mr. Ears. These are the kind of things that are perfect for Wednesday night streams for painting. So we've got Mr. Ears there for Lost World Exodus. We also got Theodore Roosevelt riding his dinosaur. The Lost World Explorer. And he also got the drum of the Nautilus, which I must admit I'm really looking forward to getting some colour on that one. I think that one will be really nice. So yeah, it was a nice little care package from War Cradle. So yeah, more Lost World Exodus stuff to be painted up. I'm looking forward to seeing the rules come out, to be fair. I really hope we'll get a chance to either get them early or kind of have a look through them, because I like the rules for Wild West Exodus. I want to see what they do to kind of mix it up and bring in the Lost World side of things. Phil says, cheers for the stream, Andy and Night Folks. Thank you very much. Spylaw says, Dave Grohl seems like a top bloke to have a pint with. Yeah, I think there's a lot of those kind of folks who just seem a bit less pretentious. Rathammer says, times like this, we need this talk. I know what you mean, mate. I know what you mean, because I kind of like... I've not seen anybody really either. It's been nice this weekend. We've kind of done a little bit of socialising outdoors with people. But up until that point, I literally haven't seen a soul other than the people I live with. Jill says, weirdly, I've seen Dolly Parton live. One of the best gigs I've ever been to. Proper show. I'm trying to think. Well, I've been to see some pretty sort of decent bands and stuff. Some of the best things I've seen. Kanye West was awesome. The live show was one of the best live shows I've seen. AC/DC were really good. Guns N' Roses, one of my first ever concerts, and that was a really good show. That was kind of like the Use Your Illusion tour back in '92, I think it was. And then I've seen bands like I've seen Oasis, and Oasis were pretty they didn't seem that interested. I've seen Bon Jovi, and Bon Jovi were the same as well. They just didn't seem that interested. Seen Bryan Adams a number of times. And then I've been to festivals and stuff as well. And seen obviously loads of different bands at festivals. But yeah, I've seen a kind of a wide range of different musical tastes. Just as saying he's excited for Stargrave. I think a few people are, mate. Christian, he's calling tonight. He's up early for work in the morning. Thank you for sharing the Patreon there, mate. And yeah, enjoy work, mate. We'll chat soon. And make sure you get your travel sorted as well for when you're coming up. Peter says, Dolly appears to be a very underrated big star. How's that a thing? Frederick says, got some green stuff done on some Dunlendings, I should say. An organ and an end for Middle Earth. Always convert everything, so I need lots of hobby content to watch and listen to while doing stuff. Good to have some streams. Thank you very much, mate. Yeah, I'm not a converter of stuff, mate. I must admit, I don't do a lot of kit bashing or anything like that. But when I am hobbying, it's nice just to put something on to kind of listen to and visually kind of kind of glance at and stuff. So I do use other people's streams, I must admit, because the last thing I want to be doing is every 5 minutes or 10 minutes is choosing a different kind of thing to watch and looking for something else. It's quite nice to put a long stream on. Blizzard saying, I want to get a Mr. Ears, just got to hide all the purples before I paint it. Lord Maiden's off the bed as well. Good night, mate. Thank you very much for coming in. John's saying, anybody remember the 80s film Maximum Overdrive? AC/DC did the soundtrack. I don't think I do remember the film, actually. I know that they did a hell of a lot of the soundtrack for Iron Man. Was it Iron Man or Iron Man 2? Iron Man, I think it was. Deep Red says, anyone seen the video of the Foo Fighters with Rick Astley live? I don't think I have, mate, actually, no. I'd remember that. Tasty Brain Drain says, whoa, the game has Teddy Roosevelt on a dinosaur. I'm going to have to start getting into this game. It does have Teddy Roosevelt on a dinosaur, mate. So, obviously there's an image on the front there, but let me show you the back of the box, and then you can see what the render looks like. It gives you a bit of an idea of the theme of it. Spanky Tass says, back in the day I saw the Happy Mondays, but I can't recall much of it as I've been out as Bez was. Yeah, I must admit, I went through my kind of my indie phase as well. Seen a good few indie bands that I don't remember much of. Ed says, I got a Rune Wars game I've been waiting for this weekend. My Undead got trashed by my buds Uthak, but it was just fantastic to play again. I've heard that's not a bad game, mate, to be fair. I think Fantasy Flight didn't do the best marketing job of it, and as always, as Fantasy Flight do, getting supply of product was always a problem. But I've heard decent things about that game, actually. Let me skip down a little bit. The Mondays. Marcus says, well, I've never randomly met a famous musician. I've run into Antonio Banderas when I was at an airport picking up a friend, and Tommy Lee Jones at a leather jacket store in town. You don't tend to get a lot of famous people here in Newcastle. But I'm trying to think who's the most famous person I've ever actually met. I don't think I really have. I can't even think. I don't think I've met anybody famous. Sunday Sykes says, Foo Fighters were the best I've seen. Really interacted with the crowd. It was great. I think when you're spending that kind of money, to go to a concert or a festival or something like that, bands interacting with the crowd is it's part of the atmosphere. It's part of the fun. I see how I saw Bon Jovi in Gateshead at the Gateshead Stadium, and they literally just come out and played the songs and then went, all right, this next one's called such and such. And then kind of played this. It was just like they were having a bad day, and they didn't want to be there. Dave Grohl is the living force of rock. He definitely is, mate. John says, the best concert I remember were going to shows by the Grateful Dead. It was like going back in a time machine to 67. Marcus says, Teddy Roosevelt was one of the best presidents us Americans have ever had. And he rides dinosaurs. It doesn't get much better than that, eh? Claudio says, I've met Andy Burris once. That was nice. I wouldn't say a famous, mate. Infamous, maybe. Infamous. King Crow says, the Game of Thrones LCG is pretty dope. Why is there not more content for that? Does no one do videos on it anymore? Do you know what it is, mate? Such is life on YouTube. What happens is people just want to make videos that get lots of views. And this is why people make loads of Games Workshop stuff and they like to do reviews of board games that haven't come out yet. As soon as something is kind of has a niche audience, it's like, well, I'm not making content because it doesn't get enough views, kind of thing. And unfortunately, there are so many really, really, really good games where people just kind of they don't make content for them, and then what happens is these games look like they're dying, and they're not. They've got really passionate communities for them, but people look online and go, well, there's never anything on there. The game must be dead, kind of thing. It's a real shame, actually. Oh yeah. Spanky Taz says, I build PCs for Rob Andrews, Tony Underwood, and Robson Green. Are they celeb enough for the tune? Yeah, I'll give you that one, mate. I'll give you that one. Steve said, I once met a chap who was in Biter Grow. Was it Ant or Dick? John said, I once chauffeured Boris Johnson's dad in a stretch golf buggy, and the Malian sports minister too. Oh my God. King Crow says, Muse was the best band he saw and has seen it too. I do like Muse, man. I must admit, I've never seen them live, but I do like them. Jess says, I've made costume for a few famous folks. Yeah, I would imagine you probably have, mate. In my line of work, in the toilet roll industry, I can't say I've never really met anybody from that. Oh, actually, in saying that, I did once meet Dynamo, the magician, at like a charity event, and he did a trick for me. So I didn't really meet him. He was there. He was being paid to be there, to be fair. Stu says, I met Lamar at an art stall in Covent Garden Market one Christmas. I was going to ask him to sign something, but I was too shy. Nice one, mate. Barry says, I can't even start to tell you the shows I've seen. I imagine, mate. I'd like to come and see you at some point. That would be good. The number one biggest surprise was Charo. She did all the stuff you'd expect, but she's a virtuoso Spanish guitar player. Amazing, mate. Ed says, Room Wars is the best fantasy battle game I've ever played. The issue is that the FFG's in-house IP, which just doesn't have the presence of Old World or Dark Millennium. The thing is, though, mate, you have to start somewhere, don't you? And I think supply issues and not bringing out additional factions fast enough probably didn't help it out. Yeah, it was a shame. Sunday Sykes is the only famous person I met is our local newscaster. He owns a restaurant in town and works on weekends. Nice one. Spanky's out. Oh, yes, I nearly forgot I was stood having a waz next to Jimmy Neal. Spy Lords, the best he ever saw was Black Sabbath 20 years ago. Nice one. Blizzard says, most famous I ever met was Pappy Boyington. It was at an air race in 84. I don't even know who that is, mate. Scroll ahead here. I've seen around 90 different bands at this point. Muse, wow. Jill says Edinburgh gets rammed with famous people for the festival, but all us locals just walk around pissed off for a month, so we don't pay much attention. Marcus says, when I worked as a personal assistant and driver for local conventions, I worked for Crispin Freeman and Katie Gray, the voices of Alucard and Ceres Victoria from Helsing. I don't think I've seen Helsing, mate. Peter said, I was once 2 parking spaces away from John Regis at the Heathrow. I think I sat 2 rows behind Barry McGuigan, the boxer, on a plane back to Newcastle once. Age of Atom, good evening. Said, I got to take a selfie with Arnold Schwarzenegger when he came to our game studio. There's a perfect time to come into the chat with a quote like that. You might win now. You might win the famous person one. Jess says, have you not met the Andrex puppy? Andrex was our rival, so I know. I've never met the Andrex puppy. Vijay said, I work in entertainment, so I won't go into who I've met and what acts I've seen. Suffice to say, there have been some doozies. I can imagine, mate. John said, I worked in several bars and pubs that had live bands. Seeing live music in a small, smoky, sweaty bar was almost the most fun. I've really missed going to see live music, I'll be honest. Like, I love just going to like a local pub on a Sunday afternoon and like kind of like somebody's like busking away kind of thing. I miss that. I miss that live music stuff. Marcus is also working at a con. I got to hang out with Ray Park, also known as Darth Maul. Nice one, mate. Michael Cohen. Good evening, Michael. He says, I met Rival Sons after a gig in Wolverhampton. They were proper chill and completed a really good night. Nice one, mate. Blizzard, he was a World War II fighter ace. I'm not really into my history, mind, I must admit, mate. That's probably why I don't know who it is. Mark says he played snooker against Ray Reardon. I remember Ray Reardon. He looked like Dracula, didn't he? John says, was the koala yours? Yes, the koala was mine, mate. And one sheet as well, for kitchen towel. He was one of mine as well. Steve says, I was ball boy for Steve Davis before he was famous. He was doing a demo match at Pontins. Steve Davis married a girl from my hometown. And he once opened our like school's like summer festival thing. Jill says, I miss live music and going to the cinema. Can't wait to see a movie on a big screen again. Yeah, it's funny actually that me and my wife were watching some trailers at the weekend of upcoming films, and there was one, and I forget what it was, and she was like, I'd love to see this at the cinema. And it's like, God, it might be a while before that happens. Spanky Tat says, the best thing about wazzing with Oz is that neither of us was in the toilet. King Crows, I just got back from the Grateful Dead tribute band music festival. Greatness but too cold. Lord Technopath, I met Margaret Thatcher in 1978 and like an idiot totally failed to stop her. Mark, my man, was a bit of fan of his. Where are we up to? Mark is also sat 30 foot away from the Queen. Ed says, best gig he ever went to was Freddie Mercury Memorial at Wembley. That is a good gig to go to, mate. That'll take some topping. Jess Forget your mistake. Mark says, try to let me win, but I gave up and cleared up, wiped the floor. Barry met Bruce Dickinson at a pre-Olympic fencing tournament. My God, he's a world-class foil fencer. I never knew that. I knew he was a pilot. I didn't realise he was a foil fencer as well. Right, folks, I am going to wrap that up now because I am flagging. I'm seriously flagging out. I think my second win came and went a long time ago. So we're going to wrap it up. I plan to be back on Wednesday to do the live stream painting. Hopefully I've managed to do. Otherwise, I might have to just put the camera in the garage while I'm painting if I still need to finish off before the carpet fitters come on Thursday morning. But yeah, Wednesday we should be doing it. We might, if I get a chance, we might have a look at one of these Lost World Exodus ones. We might get a Malifaux mini out. I don't know what else I've got on the painting table at the minute. I've still got some of the Lost World stuff I started with painting last week as well. But yeah, we'll see something. It'll be a bit of a fun, a bit of a ramble, and a bit of a hangout. So if you've got a bit of free time on Wednesday evening, I stream from 8:30 UK time through to about 11:30, something like that. So yeah, thank you very much for everyone that's been in. Everyone's saying hello, thank you for the stream and stuff. Appreciate you all coming in. If you do want to check out the Patreon, $2 gets you access to the private Discord group. $5 and up gets you your name at the end of every live stream. I think at $10 you get a mug. At $20 you get t-shirts as well. So there's lots of different levels that you can pledge at. And basically I do this full time, and being able to be supported by the community through things like Patreon, it allows me to do these kind of weird chats that would ordinarily not get any clicks, but gives us a chance to all get together and kind of hang out, and that's what I'm not kind of relying upon controversial topics to generate income. So thank you very much, folks. Take care. Thanks for coming in, and I'll see you on Wednesday. Thanks for watching my video. I hope that you really enjoyed it. And if you did, why not consider clicking on the suggested video below to see more of the work that I've done. If you'd like to support the long-term sustainability of this channel, why not consider checking out my Patreon, where you can pledge and support from as little as $2 a month. And there is lots of different tiers and bonuses, which will give you access to a private Discord server. It will give you free t-shirts, free mugs, a podcast every month, and a number of other things, including getting your name at the end of every video, like these awesome folks who already support me now.